What exactly is your grouse against Mr. Peter Obi and the Obidients?
Yes, so in the wake up to the 2023 general election, because I'm not political, I'm just expressing my thoughts about why the opposition should come together and unite against the criminal APC and roguish APC government that always rig elections. That if the opposition is divided, that there's no way they can win. I was just expressing my political thoughts and views. The idea of the Obi candidacy excited me, and I said, but that he needed the buy-in of Atiku and Kwankwaso. I even urged Kwankwaso to deputize Obi. I urged Atiku to step down for Peter Obi, and all that. So in the process of that analysis, just expressing my views, I also said the fact that Atiku has been running for president in perpetuity, that he cannot continue to run. I was just expressing my views as a Nigerian. So then Peter Obi all of a sudden started trying to reach out to me to meet me. But at that time I was out of the country. I think I was in Dubai or somewhere. So but he was persistent in reaching out to me. And I was avoiding him. But I didn't want to see him because I didn't want it to look like, because I've expressed my views, which seems to be like almost in his favor, he now wants to see me and corner me to be one of his supporters. But I don't want to support any politician because I'm not partisan. Because some people had already started even resigning from activism and joining him. So I didn't want to join his bandwagon. But I was excited by the idea of Peter Obi because, of course, Southeast have not produced a president in a very long time, except after post-independence anyway. So I was excited. So subsequently, I made some further views. And this time around, he was more persistent. So one of his aides, a journalist, reached out to me. So we subsequently met. And I said, yes. He first recommended me for some of my views and all that and said that it would be exciting to work together. I said, I'm not working with anybody. But I now made some observations about the things that he has been accused of doing in the past. Corruption. Sarah reporter reported the story where his staff was caught with money. He tried to explain it, but I was not satisfied. Then I also raised the issue about these issues of him using state resources in Anambra to invest in his family business. His explanation to me in his defense was that he had resigned from the company before he became a governor. I was flabbergasted. I couldn't just wait to get up to leave the place. I'm like, how can a man that wants to be president of Nigeria not see the clear abuse? You understand? That he has abused his office to do such a thing. He was justifying it. He didn't see anything wrong in it. I was completely disgusted. So eventually, I didn't want to disrespect him, so I wanted to leave. And then he got into, because we're like in the living room, it's like a suite. Then he got into a room and said, please, he's coming. That he wants to go inside the room and he has something for me. So he brought one envelope or something like that. And said, no, this is just a small thing. It's just for coming, blah, blah, blah. I said, I laughed. I said, that means you don't know me. I said, and you are friends with Mimiko, former Governor Mimiko and others. There are people that was close to you. You'll have asked them about me. If we do anything because of conviction, it's even me that will bring out of my money and support you. So he kept insisting that it's not like that, it's not what I'm thinking. I said, God forbid, I left. So, however, I never revealed what happened to anyone. So I remember vividly, he went to, was it Egypt, to inspect some power or something. At the peak of the Ekiti election, when his candidate in the Labour Party was running. So I criticized and said, you should be in Ekiti and not in Egypt. And I said, because you want to be president, you must go and campaign for your candidate and try to win his aides. Some of these young boys that are around him started insulting me that the reason why I'm criticizing him now is because that I was saying that he was okay, he was good. That the reason why I'm criticizing him now is that I brought a proposal to him and I demanded, is it 200 million or something? And that he told me that. I said, me? And these are his close aides. So they started doing that. So I said, because I had observed the pattern about them, that they terrorize people online, insult people, slander people. His mob, his obedient mob, were practically uncontrollable during the last election. So I said, okay, so these people do not even want dissent of any kind of criticism of their candidate of any kind. I said, okay, I'm not going to even leave Tinubu alone and now face them, because we cannot have a situation in our country or in our polity where political extremism becomes the order of the day. And Nigerians are living witnesses to the things that eventually happened to the build-up of the last election. We have never had this kind of toxic political experience. Aside the Buharis, after the Buharis, the Obidients mob is the most toxic political movement that we have ever witnessed in this country. They threaten Supreme Court judges, Court of Appeal Court judges, threatening artists, threatening Professor Wole Soyinka, insulted everybody in this country because of Peter. And so, and what are the things I said? Everything I said is true. In a civil suit or criminal suit of defamation, justification, truth is a defense. What are the things I said? I said he's a political fraud, that he's paraded himself as a messiah. Of course, he is a political fraud. Didn't he swear that he will never leave Abga? That any day he leaves Abga, let something which I want to see on TV. Then he left Abga. The only thing that I forgot to say, among the things that he should now add to his defamation suit, is that he's a political prostitute. Hobnobbing. And look at what he said about the people that he wanted to defeat in the last election. He said they operate a structure of criminality, but today he's with them. He has one leg in PDP, they are discussing with him, another leg in ADC, and he's still a member of Labour Party. Confused politician. So he should do his worst.
We just allowed you to say some of the things, and of course your position is well noted, but we may have to be moderate with our words, given everybody you've mentioned, whether it's the APC, Peter Obi, and everybody. I know you speak without, no matter whose ox is God, but this is TV, so that we're within regulation. But given that has been said, there was also another suit, we understand, so that we established this. I understand you have also filed a suit against one of his followers. Is that true?
Is his aide? Is one of his aide that always with him, one Sarah. In the build-up to the election, she called my wife a prostitute. That my wife, and he endorses these things because these are his aides. There is no way your personal aide will be attacking people, critics. They'll be attacking them, insulting them. There's no name. They didn't call me. They called me a terrorist. They called me a gun runner. They said I was the one that supplied his aides, his close aides. That was the one that supplied arms for gun running for Dino. What is my business with Dino? They called me a murderer. There's no name. They called me a blackmailer. Blackmailing who? This same Peter who cannot tolerate criticism today calls Sowore a blackmailer in chief because Sarah reporters ran the story against him. He's a political fraud.
Okay, so
and look at I called him a religious bigot. Of course, on this station, the former PDP chairman in Anambra in his state said he was the one that divided and started the religious division in Anambra between the Anglicans and the Catholics. Look at what he did in the last election. Look at what he was discussing with my bishop, Bishop Oyedepo, the yes daddy thing, calling the election a religious war that he should be supported because the election is a religious war. He's a religious bigot. I said what I said, he should do his worst.
Well, Mr. Adeyanju,
this platform is an international platform. Let's measure our words. I know these issues will still be discussed in court, but for the purpose of this conversation, since he's not here to speak to those issues, we don't want to be seen to be, insulting anybody's sensibilities. But those points you've made them time and again on social media. I mean, people who don't know you will probably be shocked, but this is something you've done consistently. You're an activist, and you don't seem to be afraid to say your mind. But let's look through some of the other claims in that document that was addressed to you, because a lot of people are wondering, why are you doing this? They see you, in this sense, demarketing Mr. Peter Obi in favor of the APC, because that's what it is in that sense, because you actually said it clearly, that rather than vote for Mr. Peter Obi on that first page, you said that you would rather give your vote to President Tinubu than to give it to Mr. Peter Obi. So a lot of people are asking, are you working with the APC? They always refer to your brother as well and say, oh, there's a certain Adeyanju working with government. So let's use this medium to speak to that. Are you supporting the APC by demarketing Mr. Peter Obi?
Why will somebody like me, God forbid that I support APC, support APC for what?
But you said you'd rather give your vote to Mr. Tinubu.
If the opposition presents Peter Obi, I will vote Tinubu. Because we cannot have a situation where people, a man who leads a mob that terrorizes people online, that cannot tolerate criticism, that call people all sort of, anybody that does not support their candidate is an enemy of Nigeria. Anybody that does not support the candidate has been paid, has been compromised, is supporting the government. Who has Peter Obi criticized this government like the way I've criticized? Does Peter Obi even know what democracy is? What sacrifices has he made for democracy? Look, we have put our line on the line for this country, for preservation of democracy, at personal expense of prosecution. What kind of charges have we not faced in this country? At a time I was almost charged for terrorism. They've charged me for all kinds of offenses in this country. So what are we talking about? What does this person know about democracy or preservation of democracy, for God's sake? What we are saying is that we must sanitize our polity, that we cannot have a country where people who terrorize others who do not appreciate that people have the right. Look at what they did to Joke Silva during the election. They had artists and Nollywood people supporting them. Nobody terrorized those people. But they terrorized that woman and other people, because she decided to support Tinubu in the last election. People have the right. I have the right. In the last, I have never voted a bad candidate, in my opinion. Before, I have never voted a bad candidate before, in my opinion. In 1999, I voted Obasanjo. In 2003, I abstained. In 2011, I voted Goodluck Jonathan. In 2015, I voted Goodluck Jonathan again against the so-called lovers of democracy who wanted Buhari. I said, there's no way somebody like me can vote Buhari, a man who truncated democracy, and his antecedent. And I was vindicated. I said, Buhari's mob, they will suppress freedom of speech, freedom of expression. They will drive Nigeria into autocracy and militocracy. And that was what happened. I was vindicated. In 2019, Buhari didn't even allow me to vote. He arrested me and locked me up in a prison in Kano because I couldn't vote. In 2023, I voted on my election. So I have never voted a bad candidate before, in my opinion and in my view. And if the opposition makes the mistake of presenting Peter, I will vote Tinubu, just to prevent Peter Obi from emerging as president. Because we cannot have a nation
Mr. Adeyanju,
where the leader of the mob will run our country.
Mr. Adeyanju, I'm happy you posited that there's a sprinkle of that extremism across board. You've mentioned Buhari, you've mentioned things around the APC, you've mentioned things about Peter Obi. Just a moment, Mr. Adeyanju, I'm going somewhere. Everybody knows your antecedent. I don't think that is not in public domain. So let's speak to it. And that has to do with the fact that with the route you're going in terms of is it fire for fire or response for response, isn't yourself now descending to the same space or the same pedestal or the same bottom of that cliff that you're trying to say people should not descend to with the action you're taking already? If you get my drift.
You see, Peter, if Peter does not want to be criticized, he should go back to his house and be eating jollof rice. Anyone who puts himself up for public office must be criticized, must be scrutinized, must be insulted. Anybody who feels too big to be criticized or too big to be insulted, and it is his mentality that his aides and his obedient mob, that is the same mentality they have. That, oh, our candidate cannot be criticized, but Tinubu can be called a drug lord, Atiku can be called a looter, a thief. But our candidate cannot be criticized. Supreme Court judges can be named and shamed. Court of Appeal judges can be intimidated and criticized and even say they should go and lynch their children. You understand? But our candidate, we draw the line when our candidate is involved. So this is the political hypocrisy of these political extremists that we must never allow in our polity. We saw it under the Buharists. They didn't want anybody to criticize or analyze their candidate. And it is the same thing. Mr. Peter was the one that put himself up to be president. If he doesn't want me to criticize, I'm not insulting any obedient, I'm not insulting anybody. It is the man that has put himself up for president. I'm analyzing. I'm saying that, as governor, you did this. You went around churches in this country to go and say church should take back their country. You spoke with Bishop Oyedepo and said that the election is a religious war. Therefore, you are a religious bigot. There's nothing I'm saying that is not in public domain. There's nothing I'm saying, or there's nothing I've said, or the things that I've said. The only thing else that I forgot to say is that is a political prostitute, which I've now added. So you should add it to the suit.
Well, Mr. Adeyanju, you are a lawyer. I know you. If you can hear me, you are a lawyer.
I know you've had to respond to people who said you're just 2 years at the bar. They've called you baby lawyer in that sense. But hey, you've been speaking at the NBA.
And it is within their right. It is within their right to insult me and to criticize me. It is within their right.
Okay.
Because I'm in the public.
There you go. But that's not where I'm going to. I just want to posit that you're a lawyer and you know how weighty some of these words are. If you go to the page 2 of the letter written to you, you used words like fraud. You use that to describe Mr. Peter Obi. I mean, you use the other word.
I've reported it here. I say it's a political fraud.
But I'm not done. You've used terms like thief in the post on X, even scum and the rest. I mean, aside the fact that you're a lawyer, a lot of people see you as a gentleman. And I mean, there are ways you can approach these issues without using those words. Why? On those same spaces, social media, there are young Nigerians who look up to you and they say, well, I want to be like Mr. DEJI Adeyanju. But when they see you using these sort of terms, they wonder, aren't there other ways to approach this without descending into the gutter, as Jeffrey said, being who you are?
Everything I've said is directed at Mr. Peter Obi. Everything I've said. And if you look at how the conversation started, I was not the one who initiated the criticisms. All I did was I criticized him and said, why should you be in Egypt when you have an election in Ekiti to win? Go and they came at me. And I said, I will never respond or criticize or insult any of them. I will focus on criticizing their candidates. And I have criticized their candidate to the best of my ability. And everything I said about him is the truth. And like I've said, I said truth and justification is a defense in the civil suit of defamation. There's nothing, there's no name that they've not called Atiku, the president, and other people contesting for election. So why should Peter in this case should be different? Why? There's no name they have not called judges in this country. There's no name that have not been called by these people, by his mob. He's the leader of the mob. Because if he's not the leader of the mob, why are his close aides actively involved? The woman who defamed my wife works for him, the Sarah Ibrahim lady. We wrote a letter for her to retract on Monday to her. We wrote a letter to her on Monday to retract. And he wrote us a letter on Wednesday after she ran to him. So and this was one of the things we had wanted to prove and achieve, that he's the one that sends them on this errand to attack people.
Mr. Adeyanju, that would be a bit of a stretch. Sending them on errand, whether endorsing or not, is a different kettle of fish. That's why we say you should be temperate with your word. Now you're a lawyer, you're not just an activist. So let's look at broadly.
Okay. When your aides attack people, especially your critics, and you don't caution them.
I'm not debating the issues. I'm debating the content.
If Bayo Ononuga insults Peter Obi, it is assumed that it is Tinubu that is doing it.
I understand what you're saying.
But Bayo Ononuga works for someone. This lady works with him. She's always she's within the money. Just every time of the day she's with him.
What's the name of the lady in question, so that we're clear?
Sarah Ibrahim.
Oh, okay. So that we're clear. But where I'm going to with my question, I was trying to say that you're a lawyer now, so there has to be that balance. So we're trying to check so that we don't go in excess. But you have a right to say what you have to say. But this is television, it's international. So
and after all, he has the right of reply. He can come and say the things I've said is not true.
Mr. Adeyanju, no problem. That's another kettle of fish. Let's talk about the extremism in the political space. As you've rightly posited, it's not just... We've seen a situation in this country where politicians or supporters of politicians have carried the president's coffin, put his name on that coffin, or carried the coffin and put the president...
The Buharis, not supporters of... The Buharis,
yes,
already mentioned them.
I'm just giving general context now. So, because where I'm going to with this question is there really a way to stop this? Because it looks like it takes turns for every political dispensation. Do you think this is a battle that is winnable?
Yes, I think it's a winnable battle, and that is why some of us are now challenging them and saying, no. We can't have this in our politics. It's too bad. That the political actors need to caution their supporters. You cannot just allow people to insult. Even people on this channel's TV, others have been bullied, called all sorts of names. Maybe because they asked some questions on interview sessions, or they did not ask the questions the Obedient mob wanted them to ask, and they are labeled APC supporters. They are paid, they are insulted, they are dehumanized, all kinds of things. The Buharis, just like I said in my opener, that the Buharis started this thing, and that because they were not cautioned, the Obedient now have taken it a step further. And that is why I said that there is no way. The beauty of democracy, one of the tenets of democracy, is that people have the right to support any candidate of their choosing. I voted on my election in the last election. How can I be termed an enemy of Nigeria because I voted for my election? Why should Peter Obi supporters not be allowed to vote Peter? Or Tinubu supporters not be allowed to vote Tinubu? Or Atiku supporters, Showore supporter, or supporter of anybody else? Why should people be compelled, be forced, that, you must only see things in my way? That if you don't see things in my way, you are an enemy and we will deal with you accordingly.
You mentioned Sarah Ibrahim, and it's only fair to even speak to some of the things she has said, because there's been a lot of back and forth between you and her. And, she put up a post recently that you're a married man, and you zoom into her picture for your screensaver, and you post about her every day. She describes it as obsession. Are you obsessed with her, just to speak to that?
Even if I were to ever be obsessed with anyone in this life, is this somebody that does errand girl for Peter Obi that I... Just imagine. Of all the people in Nigeria, I'm not obsessed with Nollywood actors, actresses. I'm not obsessed with Instagram baddies. Somebody that does errand girl for Peter Obi, that works with Peter Obi, that insults people daily for a living.
At the end of the day, I'm sure that all of you, we all get insulted, we all get called out. So it's not just, it's everywhere. So for supporters of APC, PDP, Labour, everybody, we get all of that. Perhaps it's part of what comes to the job as far as this job is concerned. But in closing, before we let you go, Mr. Adeyanju, if they take this case to court, are you also going to... Have you instituted the suit against Sarah already? I just wanted to be sure of that, so I'll put the facts right. Because I wanted to know
we are filing this morning.
Okay, are you filing because she didn't apologize?
Yeah, we gave her a letter of retraction. I've never known this lady. I didn't even know the lady existed until the day she called my wife a whore.
The last page, by the way, of that document says that you have 7 days. The letter was written on the 26th of August. I don't know when you received it, so I'm guessing you have about 4 more days to retract it. Else, it is said here...
I'm so scared. I'm shaking in my pants.
So are you going to be retracting it? Because they said that this will include a claim for aggravated damages for defamation, an order of injunction, and cost of legal proceedings.
I have doubled down. I will never retract.
All right.
I double down. That's why I posted it and doubled down.
Okay. So this is a case of you'll never turn back. It's already too late, I imagine. But
Yes,
Mr. Adeyanju,
absolutely.
we have to thank you for your time on the program. And we really hope that the political space, both online and offline, is less toxic, because it doesn't do well for our democracy.
Seriously speaking, this is just going to be simple. I mean, the best part of it is that Obi didn't just go straight to the court. He's actually giving an opportunity for DEJI Adeyanju to actually retract his statements. And that speaks diplomatic, that speaks responsible. So hopefully Deji does the needful. I mean, this is not too much. And for real, he has been actually on Peter Obi for no reason. And it is actually not politics. No, this is not of politics. We believe in critics, and there's nothing absolutely wrong with it. But when you attack the personal life of that person, it is obviously not to what it is. And that is where it is becoming so malicious. No one would actually take it lightly for you to come out in a day and try to disorganize the reputation the person have actually built for years. That is really, really, really uncomfortable with a lot of people. And to me, I think I would just do the same thing. So family, here's where we land. This is not just another quarrel between two public figures. This is a lesson in the power of words in the digital age. Think about it. A few tweets, a few Facebook posts, some comments on X, and suddenly the line between the free speech and defamation gets tested in court. Peter Obi is a man who has built his image on humility. Everyone knows this. He has built his image on calmness, integrity, and is basically saying, look, I can take criticism. I can take political opposition, but I won't sit back and let people write stories that damage my reputation and mislead the public about me, about my personal life. Beyond Mr. Peter Obi and Deji, this is about us, about how Nigeria is slowly entering an era where words on social media are not just banter anymore. They can be legal liabilities. They can put you in front of judge, and that is huge, because whether you are a politician, an activist, or just an ordinary citizen with a smartphone, it reminds us all that tweets and posts carry weight, especially those ones targeted at personal reputation. Now the big question is, will Deji swallow his pride and retract, delete, and move on, just like Mr. Peter Obi demanded? Either way, we are about to witness a test of reputation versus resistance, politics versus activism, and law versus free speech. And trust me, whichever way it goes, it will set a precedent. Because if Peter Obi wins, politicians might start suing left and right to protect their names. But if Deji stands his ground and prevails, activists will feel empowered to call out politicians without fear of legal banter. Let's throw it back to you. If you were Peter Obi, would you have ignored Deji's comment? Or do you agree with his decision to drag it to court? And if you were Deji, would you delete the post, or would you stand and fight? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section, because I know this one is going to be a very divided opinion. Don't forget to smash that like button if you enjoyed this breakdown. Subscribe, of course, and share it to many people so people can join the conversation. And just so you know, this is not the end of this Obi and Deji saga. It's actually the beginning, and I will be here to keep you updated as it unfolds. Till next time, stay out of trouble, and thank you for watching.